Avery sat on the edge of the old wooden bench, staring at the empty swing beside them. The wind carried the faint sound of children laughing at the nearby playground, but Avery felt a hollow ache inside. It had been weeks since Leah moved away, and every corner of the park held a memory of their time together. They had shared secrets here, plans for the future, and hopes that felt strong and real. Now the bench felt too big, the air too quiet. Each morning Avery woke with a weight in their chest. The alarm on their phone still buzzed at the time when Leah used to call. Avery would lie still, waiting for a message that never came. The bright screen, once a source of excitement, now felt like a reminder of absence. Avery's fingers hovered over the icon's texts. Video calls, but fear held them back. What if Leah didn't want to talk? What if the distance had changed everything? At school, Avery kept busy. They joined the robotics club, hoping to fill the empty hours with building and programming small machines. Late nights were spent soldering wires under a single lamp. The hum of tools felt comforting, a proof that Avery could still create something with purpose. Yet every circuit they completed was a quiet echo. They could build robots, but they could not build bridges to the past. One afternoon, Avery found a photo tucked into a drawer at home. It showed them and Leah on the bench at sunset, their faces lit by an orange glow. They looked carefree, their laughter almost audible across the glossy print. Avery traced the outline of Leah's smile with a fingertip, feeling tears well up. They had promised each other they would stay close no matter. The miles, but promises, felt fragile. Late that night, Avery opened a blank note on their phone and began to type. "I miss you," they wrote, then deleted it, then wrote again. "I wish I knew how to reach you." The words seemed weak on the screen, like noises in a storm. Avery stared at the blinking cursor, heart pounding. Oh. They wanted to send something, anything that would tell Leah they still cared. But the fear of rejection was louder than hope. In the days that followed, Avery watched the sky more often. They remembered how Leah used to say that looking up at the stars made her feel connected, no matter where she was. One cool evening, Avery stepped outside and tilted their head back. The sky was clear, speckled with bright points of light. Avery closed their eyes and imagined Leah beneath the same stars. A small warmth flickered in Avery's chest. Maybe, just maybe, they were not as far apart as it felt. Avery decided to try again. They pulled out a notebook and wrote a letter by hand, something tactile and real. Each word carried intention. "Dear Leah, I hope you are safe and happy. I remember our talks on the bench and the plans we made. I am building robots now, but I miss our conversations more than I miss sleep. I don't know how you are. To share my days with you again. Please write back when you can. Your friend, Avery." Folding the paper carefully, Avery felt nervous, but also proud. This was a step forward, a choice to believe in hope. The next morning, Avery walked to the park with the letter in a small envelope. They sat on the bench and imagined Leah sitting beside them. Avery held the envelope as if it held a beating heart. With a steady breath, they reached a hand into their pocket and held Leah's old friendship bracelet, a gift from long ago. Avery pressed the envelope and the bracelet together. "Carry these with you," Avery whispered into the wind. "Carry me." Weeks passed with no reply. Avery returned to school and to the bench, letters still unsent in their bag. Doubt crept back in. What if Leah had forgotten? What if she was too busy to change? Yet, even in doubt, Avery found small sparks of determination. Felt like giving up, they would close their eyes and picture Leah's face. The memory of their laughter, the sparkle in Leah's eyes, these things could not be erased. One morning, Avery woke to find a new message notification. Their heart raced as they unlocked the phone. Leah had finally written, "I got your letter. I've missed you too. I've been so scared and alone here, but reading your words made me feel home again. I would love to talk." Avery's breath caught. They stared at the message, tears of relief and joy rolling down their cheeks. The ache in their chest melted into warmth. Avery smiled at the sky, feeling a connection stronger than ever. The distance remained, but so did their hope. They stood and walked to the bench, the place where it all felt lost and yet found again. Avery sat and pressed send on a video call, watching Leah's face appear on the screen. Across the miles, They laughed, and the emptiness of the swing beside them vanished into the promise of tomorrow. In that moment, Avery realized that the human heart was a resilient thing, able to bridge worlds with hope and care. Avery woke before sunrise, the pale light slipping through their bedroom window. The phone lay on the bedside table, its screen dark and silent. 8. Last night's message from Laia still glowed in Avery's mind. I would love to talk. Avery's heart pounded with both hope and fear. What should they say first? How could they fill the miles between them with words? Avery sat up, drew in a steady breath, and tapped the video call icon. The screen lit up in cool blue and a cross. The distance Leah's face appeared, framed by a tidy apartment window in morning light of its own. Leah smiled softly, her eyes bright despite the early hour. Good morning, she said, her voice gentle like sunrise. Avery smiled back, though their hands trembled. Morning, they whispered. Neither spoke for a moment, as if both were testing the invisible line between them. Then Avery cleared their throat and asked, How are you feeling today? Leah's smile faltered briefly, and Avery's chest tightened. They remembered how scared Leah said she had been since the move. Avery reached for courage. I've missed you, they said. It felt both simple and powerful. Leah looked down, tracing a pattern on her blanket. I've missed you too, she said quietly. Avery's hope flickered. Tell me about your new place, they said. Leah brightened. She spoke of colorful walls she painted herself, of a small garden on the balcony where she grew herbs. Avery imagined her tending basil leaves in sunlight and felt a warm glow. Then Leah asked about the robotics club. Avery's face lit up as they described the machine they had built, a small rover that could climb stairs. They showed Leah photos on the screen, pointing out each wheel and circuit. Leah laughed softly when the rover's wheel got stuck on a pebble in the photo. Avery laughed too, relief rushing through their chest. It still needs work, Avery admitted, but I like fixing things. Leah nodded. You always had that spark. You solved problems. In that moment, Avery felt proud. They were still the person who cared and created. Distance had not changed them. The line between hope and doubt blurred as they realized that strength came from doing the small, steady things that showed they cared. After the call ended, Avery sat in silence for a long time. Then they stood and went to the workbench in their room. They gathered small scraps of metal and sensors, soft wires, and a speaker module. Avery decided to build a gift, a tiny device that could play Leah's favorite song whenever she pressed a button. They worked late into the night, soldering and testing under the glow of a single lamp. Each connection they made felt like a thread weaving them closer together. When the little music box finally played its cheerful tune, Avery allowed themselves to smile with relief. The next day, Avery wrapped the device in soft paper and tucked it into a small box. They wrote a new letter by hand. This is for you, to remind you of home. I hope it brings a smile. I would love to hear your voice anytime you can call. Avery sealed the envelope and took it to the post office. As they handed it over, the clerk asked, Going far? Avery nodded. Very far, they said. The clerk stamped the box and Avery watched it disappear down the chute. The act felt brave, like sending a piece of their own heart across the world. Weeks passed. Avery kept a calendar on the wall and marked each day with a star whenever they spoke or exchanged messages. Some days had 2 stars when they shared video chats and letters. They sent photos of the rover's progress, and Leah sent images of her balcony garden in bloom. On one clear night, Avery went outside and lay on the grass, staring at the stars. They remembered Leah's words about feeling connected under the same sky. Avery whispered into the cool air, I hope you see this too. At night, a message arrived. A photo of Leah looking up at the sky, her face framed by starlight. Beneath it, she had typed, I see it, Avery. Thank you for reminding me we are never truly alone. Avery's heart swelled. The ache of distance was still there, but now it was softened by threads of care and hope. Avery felt strong in a new way, more human than ever. They realized that when someone you care about moves away, the path to reconnect might be uncertain, but every small step every letter, every shared song can shine like a beacon across the darkness. In that light, distances shrink and hope grows. Avery woke early, the sky still dark outside their window. The silence felt heavier than any noise. Yesterday's call with Leah had been warm, but after the last goodbye, Avery felt the old emptiness return. They paced the room, glancing at the music box they had sent. What if it got lost in the mail? What if Leanne never pressed its button? Doubt crept in and settled like a cold stone. Avery pressed a hand to their chest and closed their eyes. They needed a new plan, something stronger than hope alone. At school, Avery spent lunch by themselves under a large oak tree, laughed and shared snacks. But Avery felt invisible. They remembered how Leia used to sit beside them, offering half of her sandwich and half of her courage. Avery opened their notebook and drew a simple picture, 2 stick figures holding hands across a gap. Above them, a bright sun labeled hope. As their pencil traced each line, Avery felt a small spark. Drawing helped them carry their feelings. After class, Avery went to the library and checked out books about long-distance friendship. They found stories of pen pals, travelers, and explorers who bridged oceans with letters and gifts. One book told of 2 friends who met every year under the same flowering tree, each traveling from different lands to share a moment together. Avery read the story twice, savoring the idea that distance could be an adventure, not just a barrier. They closed the book, determination shining in their eyes. Avery would make their own adventure. That evening, Avery climbed onto the roof of their house with a backpack. Inside were a few letters, some photos, and Leah's favorite snack, tiny chocolate biscuits that were almost impossible to find in Avery's town. Avery packed a small radio transmitter they had built for their robotics club. They had never tried sending signals beyond the standard range, but tonight they would. Avery set the transmitter on the rooftop, pointed its antenna toward the sky, and pressed power. The device crackled to life. Avery spoke into the microphone. "Hello, Leah. This is Avery, under the same sky. I'm sending you a greeting across the stars." A tremor ran through Avery as they spoke. Their voice echoed into the night. They pressed record, telling Leah about their day, how the robotics club had cheered when the rover climbed a ramp, and how Avery missed Leah's laughter. Most of all, they described the oak tree at school and the first blossom of spring, and how the chocolate biscuits tasted like memory itself. When they finished, Avery pressed send and watched the transmitter's lights blink until the battery died. They climbed down from the roof, heart pounding with equal parts fear and hope. Days went by with no reply. Avery's calendar stars turned pale. Still, they refused to give up. They organized an online blog called Under One Sky, where they posted weekly updates about the transmitter tests, the biscuits, and small inventions inspired by Leah's encouragement. Soon, classmates began to follow the blog. Comments: "I love your stories. Keep sending signals. Distance can't stop you." Avery felt a new warmth. Community support. They realized that reaching out to others could strengthen the bond with Leah too. One afternoon, Avery found a comment from someone named Leah with a trembling heart emoji. Leah wrote, "I moved away last year and your story reminds me of home. Thank you." Avery's pulse quickened. They replied, sharing tips on writing letters and building simple transmitters. Over the next week, Avery and Leah exchanged messages about coping with distance and finding new ways to connect. Avery felt the gap inside them shrink. Helping Leah gave Avery confidence to reach out again to Leah. That night, Avery sat by the oak tree with their notebook. They wrote a new letter to Leah. "I built a transmitter to send my voice to you. I started a blog to share our story. I helped a new friend named Leah feel less alone. I want to keep trying because you matter." Avery sealed the letter and taped the transmitter sketch inside. They walked to the post office at dawn and mailed the package. As they dropped it into the box, Avery whispered, "One more bridge." A week later, a letter arrived. Avery tore it open and smiled at Leah's neat handwriting. "Your voice came through the waves, faint but clear. I read your blog every week and it made me feel close. I'm proud of you for helping Leah, and I can't wait to try your transmitter. With you, this distance will not win. Avery's chest swelled with joy. The ache of longing was still there, but now it was a reminder of how far they had come. Avery closed their eyes and looked up at the night sky, feeling connected in ways they had never imagined. Hope was not just a word on paper, it was a living bridge across the stars. Avery woke to the soft glow of morning light and the memory of Leah's latest letter. The words still felt warm. I can't wait to try the transmitter with you. Avery smiled, feeling a spark of courage. Distance still stretched between them, but hope flowed stronger than ever. Today, Avery decided to find a new way to reach Leah. It was not enough to send letters and signals. Avery wanted to share more of their world. It needed something human and real, something that showed how much they cared. Thought of the videos that friends posted online, short clips of daily life, memories and small celebrations. What if they could send Leah a video diary? Avery set up an old camera on a tripod in their room. He practiced speaking to the lens, describing the sunrise, the way the oak tree cast shadows, and the progress on the rover. Their voice wavered at first, but with each take, they grew steadier. This video would carry their face, their voice, and their living world to Leah's screen. It would say, even without words, I am here and I care. Next, Avery gathered photos and video clips from past months. There was the first test of the rover on campus steps, the day the music box played Leah's song, and the moment the transmitter lights blinked under a starlit sky. Avery edited these clips together, placing them between messages to Leah. Here is my day. This is what I build. I think of you. It took hours of cutting and pasting, learning simple software tools from online tutorials. Friends in the robotics club offered tips, showing Avery how to add subtitles and brighten colors. Each new skill was a small victory. When the video felt ready, Avery worried again. What if the file failed to upload? What if Leah could not watch? But the thought of silence felt worse than any failure. Avery uploaded the file to the blog under a private link and wrote a short note. Leah, this is for you. Watch when you can. Love, Avery. They clicked share and held their breath. The screen showed uploaded successfully. Laughed with relief, then let out a deep sigh. It was done. The next day, Avery sat at the oak tree with their notebook, marking off each day since they sent the video. Around them, friends waved and asked about their project. Avery told them, I hope Leah watches soon. Each word felt like a promise. When evening came, Avery opened the blog again. There was a new comment labeled Private Message. Avery opened it and saw Leah's reply. I watched your video. It made me cry in a good way. I feel like I am there with you. Thank you. Avery's chest tightened with joy. The ache of distance softened by the screen's gentle light. That night, Avery replayed the video on the laptop. They watched Leah's favorite flower in bloom through their window, the slow turn of the rover's wheel, Avery's own hopeful face, speaking directly to Leah. Avery felt connected in a way words alone could not achieve. Human creativity, kindness, and persistence could cross any gap. In that moment, Avery knew that hope was more than waiting. It was acting, building, speaking, sharing small pieces of life to keep a friendship alive. The next morning, Avery found a small parcel on the doorstep. Inside was a block of handmade soap sprayed with lavender, one of Leah's favorite scents, and a short note. I made this for you. You make my life richer. Avery held the soap under their nose and closed their eyes. The scent was familiar and strange at the same time, a bridge between worlds. Avery carefully unwrapped it and placed it beside the rover on the workbench. It reminded them that giving and receiving were two halves of the same heart. Avery walked to the park bench at dusk and looked at the empty swing beside them. It no longer felt too big. Instead, it was a promise of return of one day sitting. They're together again? Avery pressed a hand to their chest and whispered to the quiet sky, we will find our way back to each other. Distance still existed, but hope burned stronger. Each letter, signal, video, and gift was a strand of light weaving a path across the miles. Avery understood now more than ever that being human meant building bridges with care and faith, and so they waited, hopeful, ready for whatever came next. Avery woke with a quiet determination. The soft morning sun shone through the curtains, and they stretched, feeling the gentle warmth. This morning, Avery knew exactly what to do. They felt the distance from Leia like a dull ache, but also a spark of hope lighting inside them. It would create something new, a shared project that both of them could work on, even miles apart. In the basement workshop, Avery arranged tools and materials. They had saved scraps of metal, plastic, and old circuit boards from past robotics experiments. Today's plan was to build a small, interactive map of their hometown. The map would light up at places Avery and Leah had visited together: the park bench, school courtyard, the little bakery where they shared pastries. Next to each light, a small button would play a recorded memory when pressed. Avery imagined Leah pressing those buttons and hearing their shared laughter echo across the world. Avery started by drawing the town's outline on a thin sheet of wood. They sketched roads, parks, and buildings they both knew well. Each line felt like retracing old footsteps, reminding Avery of happy days. After finishing the sketch, they carefully cut the wood to shape. The saw's steady hum filled the room. Avery felt calm and focused. Every tool stroke was a step toward reconnecting with Leah. Next, Avery drilled tiny holes for LEDs at key locations. One hole marked the bakery, where they once spilled coffee and laughed until tears came. Another marked the hilltop, where they watched fireworks. With each hole, Avery whispered a memory. Here we shared stories. Here we made our first promise. The memories fueled their determination. After placing each LED, Avery wired them to a small control board. Then they connected simple buttons beside each light, planning to record their voice later. They tested each button, watching the lights blink on command. The workshop glowed with tiny points of color, like distant stars. Avery smiled. The map looked magical, a miniature world waiting to speak. It was late afternoon when Avery sat down to record the memory clips. They pressed the first button and spoke. This is the bakery. I can still taste the sweet pastry we shared. Their voice was clear and warm. They pressed the next button and recalled the hilltop fireworks. Here we watched the sky sparkle together. Each recording carried emotion, a mix of nostalgia and hope. When they finished, Avery packed the map safely in a box along with a new letter. Dear Leia, I made this for us. Wherever you are, I hope these lights and memories bring you closer to home. With love, Avery. At dusk, Avery walked to the post office, box in hand. The sky glowed pink and orange. As they handed the package to the clerk, Avery felt the weight of distance and the glow of possibility in the same breath. The clerk smiled kindly, asking, "Someone special?" Avery nodded. "My best friend," they replied softly. Avery returned to school and to the workshop, helping new members of the robotics club learn simple soldering. They felt more confident now, sharing their skills to help others. Each small act of teaching made Avery feel strong, they realized. That giving knowledge was also a way to connect with Leah and with new friends. One evening, Avery sat under the oak tree, staring at the empty swing. They tapped their phone, waiting for a message from Leah. Their heart drummed in their chest. Finally, the phone buzzed with an incoming call. Avery answered, voice catching, "Hi, Leia." On the screen, Leah's face appeared, eyes bright with surprise and delight. She held something in her hands, a small wooden board glowing with lights. Avery gasped. Leah turned the board so Avery could see. It was the interactive map. Each LED shone softly. "You sent this?" Vasari, Leah whispered, voice trembling with emotion. "It arrived yesterday. I could press the buttons and hear your voice. It felt like you were here." Avery pressed a hand to their heart. "I'm so glad," they said. "I wanted to bring our memories together." Leah smiled through tears. "It's perfect." They spent the next hour pressing buttons one by one. Avery watched Leah's face light up with each memory. The bakery light glowed and Leah laughed softly. The hilltop light glowed next, and Leah's eyes sparkled. Avery felt warmth flood their chest. Distance still lay between them, but in those glowing lights and recorded voices, they were standing side by side again. After the call ended, Avery sat in the dark room, the glow of the map fading behind their closed eyes. They breathed in deep, feeling hope stronger than before. They had built a bridge of light and memory across thousands of miles. Avery realized that HFY, human perseverance and kindness, could light up any dark distance. With each small act of creation, they made hope real. And as long as they believed no distance would ever be too great to cross, Avery woke to a day that felt both familiar and strange. The sun shone through the window, but instead of warmth, Avery felt a quiet ache in their chest. Leah's map had brought them close, but miles still lay between their homes. Today, Avery decided to find a way to work together with Leah, even when they were apart. They needed a shared project that would build something new, something that grew from both their hands and hearts. After breakfast, Avery went to the workshop and cleared a table. They gathered the interactive map and set it in the center. Then, Avery opened their laptop and started a video call to Leah. When Leah's face appeared on the screen, Avery felt a rush of relief. "Good morning," Avery said. "I had an idea." Leah tilted her head and smiled. "What are you thinking?" she asked softly. Avery explained, "I want us to code a simple app that shows our map in digital form. People anywhere in the world could click on our locations, hear our recordings, and see our photos." Leah's eyes brightened. "That sounds amazing," she said. "I can work on the design if you handle the code." Avery nodded, heart pounding. "With excitement, deal?" they said. They spent the morning planning. Avery drew a simple layout, a digital map with colored pins marking each place: bakery, school courtyard, oak tree, hilltop. Clicking a pin would open a small window with a recorded voice clip and a picture. Leah suggested adding a write-your-own memory button so friends could share their own stories. Avery loved the idea. It would make the project bigger than just them. It could become a community of hope. After the call, Avery began coding. They wrote the basic map interface using simple tools they had learned in school. Each line of code felt like placing a brick in a bridge between hearts. When Avery encountered an error bug that made the map freeze, they felt frustration spike. But they took a steady breath and remembered Leah's words. "We can solve problems together." Avery put on headphones, played Leah's favorite song, and calmly worked through the code line by line. When the map finally loaded without freezing, Avery punched the air in small victory. "We did it," they whispered to the empty room. That evening, Avery recorded additional voice clips by candlelight. They spoke about how the bakery smelled, how laughter echoed under the oak, how the hilltop view made them feel free. Clip was a gift of memory. Avery sent these files to Leah along with the updated code. They ended the day by sketching ideas for the app's design: pastel colors, rounded buttons, and a simple menu. Over the next few days, Avery balanced school, workshop, and coding. Every afternoon, they video called Leah to compare progress. Leah showed mock-ups of the app's screen soft greens and warm oranges that reminded Avery of spring mornings. Leah had even drafted an About Us page with their story: two friends separated by distance but united by hope. Avery felt pride swirl in their chest. They realized that even apart, their hands could work side by side. One rainy afternoon, Avery tested the app on a small tablet they owned. They clicked each pin. The bakery played their fond memory. The oak tree played Leah's voice describing the first day they met. When Avery clicked write your own memory, a blank form appeared. Avery typed, "Under the sky, I felt the bond of friendship stronger than distance." And they added, "Avery." They saved it, and the message appeared on the screen. It was simple, but true. That night, Avery sat under a cozy lamp and waited. They felt anxious. What if no one else used the app? What if the only voices were theirs and Leah's? When the tablet buzzed with a new entry notification, Avery's heart jumped. They tapped it and saw a message from a classmate. "Maya, this app is so beautiful. Makes me miss my cousin who moved away. Thank you for sharing it." Avery smiled through tears. Their project was touching others already. Hope was spreading. The next morning, Avery found a longer message from Leah. I tried the app on my phone last night. Seeing our memories woven together, I felt like a hug. I added my own memory about the library where we studied. I can't wait to show you the app. Interface next time. Avery's chest warmed. They typed back, I'm proud of us. Let's keep building. They hit send and then looked at the glowing screen, feeling closer to Leah than they had in weeks. Avery realized that connecting with someone far away was like building a machine. It needed parts from both sides, careful assembly, and constant testing. The project had its bugs and moments of doubt, but each solved error made the connection stronger. HFY, human resourcefulness and hope had lit the way. And as Avery closed the laptop for the night, they knew distance was no longer a barrier, but a challenge they could overcome together, one line of code at a time. Avery woke with a flutter of excitement. Last night's message from Leah still glowed on their screen. I can't wait for our project launch. Avery smiled, but as they reached for the laptop, a twinge of doubt crept in. Miles still lay between them like a wide ocean. Even the best ideas could stumble on the invisible gap of distance. Avery pressed a hand to their heart. They had come so far, building maps, apps, and memories, but today they wanted something more. A moment when they and Leah could truly share space, even if only online. At breakfast, Avery scribbled ideas in a notebook. What if they held a virtual reunion event? Friends from school, the robotics club, and even new followers from the app could join. Everyone could log in at the same time, share stories, show what they built, and celebrate friendship. But making this happen meant learning a new platform, virtual meeting rooms, shared screens, and interactive features. It felt daunting. Avery remembered all they had already achieved. Hope surged. Humans can learn, adapt, and connect when they truly care. After school, Avery headed to the workshop. They cleared the desk and set up the laptop, webcam, and the interactive map. Then they researched free virtual event tools online. There were many options. Some required complicated downloads, others limited participants. Avery chose a simple browser-based platform that supported video, chat, and screen sharing. They signed up, created a meeting link, and tested it with a spare phone. The video worked, and the chat scrolled smoothly. Avery let out a breath of relief. One barrier down. Next, Avery designed an invitation. Using basic graphics software, they placed a glowing map image in the background and overlaid text. Under one sky, a virtual reunion with Avery and Leah. They added the date and time, plus the meeting link. Then they wrote a short message. Join us to share memories, photos, and stories. Let's bridge the distance together. Avery sent invitations by email and posted them on the app's community page. Wow. They felt a surge of pride as messages of RSVP started to appear. Count. Me in? So excited? Can't wait to hear your story? The evening before the event, Avery sat beneath the oak tree with the laptop on their lap. The screen glowed softly. They clicked through the event settings again, practicing how to share the map, play voice clips, and welcome guests. A gentle breeze rustled the leaves overhead. Avery imagined Leah doing the same in her room, logging in from afar. The thought made Avery's chest tighten with both longing and hope. They whispered, "We can do this," and pressed save on the final settings. On the morning of the reunion, Avery felt jittery. They set out snacks, chips, cookies, and a small bowl of chocolate biscuits they had saved for the occasion. Then, they positioned the interactive map front and center on the desk, ready to show it on camera. 15 minutes before start, they clicked the meeting link and waited. The platform greeted them with a holding screen. Meeting will begin shortly. Avery's heart pounded in time with the loading wheel. Then, one by one, participants appeared, classmates waving, robotics club members giving thumbs up, and familiar usernames lighting up the chat. Finally, Leah's video tile popped into view. Avery's breath caught. Leah smiled broadly and waved. "Hello," Leah called, her voice bright. Avery waved back, voice shaking with excitement. "Hi, Leah." Welcome, Avery introduced the event. Thank you all for coming. Today we celebrate friendship across miles. Let me share something special. Avery clicked share screen, and the interactive map appeared. Everyone gasped softly at the glowing lights pinpointing each memory. Avery guided the group through each location. This is where Leah and I got messy with pastries. Here we watched fireworks, and here, under this oak tree, we dreamed of adventures. With each description, Leah held up her own small map, identical to Avery's. The group clicked buttons on the map in unison, triggering the recorded voice clips. Laughter and smiles filled the video grid, as some guests shared their own memories. In the chat, I remember that bakery date was hilarious. Thank you for including us. Leah then took the floor, sharing new memories she had added to the app, her balcony garden blooming with herbs. In the time she tried coding a small game inspired by the project, they felt a flush of pride. They were partners, side by side. Again, as the event drew to a close, Avery asked everyone to share one hope for the future. Messages scrolled. I hope to visit your town someday. I want to build a robot with you. I hope our friendship never fades. When it was Leah's turn, she looked into the camera and said, I hope we can meet under the real sky again soon. Avery's eyes filled with tears of happiness. They mouthed, Me too, and waved goodbye as guests signed off one by one. When the screen finally went dark, Avery sat back, heart full. The event had worked. Thousands of miles had vanished in pixels and voices. The ache of distance still existed, but in its place shone a new certainty that human creativity, kindness, and perseverance could overcome any gap. Avery glanced at the clock. It was late afternoon, but the sky outside still glowed with possibility. With a soft smile, Avery whispered, We bridged the distance. Together. And in that moment, hope shone brighter than any star. Avery lay in bed that night, tired but happy. The virtual reunion had been a success. Friends from near and far had shared memories and hope. Avery realized that bringing people together across distance was possible, yet somewhere in their heart a quiet wish remained, to meet Leah face to face again. The screen had brought them close, but nothing could replace a shared hug or a real conversation under the sky they both loved. The next morning, Avery woke with a plan. They would save money to visit Leah's city. First, they counted the coins. In a small jar labeled Grand Adventure. Each coin felt like a promise. Then Avery wrote a list of ways to earn more, tutoring younger students in math, helping neighbors with yard work, and entering a school science fair with a prize fund. Each task would be a step toward their goal of meeting Leah in person. At school, Avery set up a small tutoring schedule. They posted simple flyers around the library offering help with algebra. Soon, 2 students signed up after class, guided them through equations, and smiled as their confidence grew. Every dollar they earned went into the Grand Adventure jar. With each tutoring session, Avery felt both pride in their teaching and closeness to Leah, who had always encouraged Avery to share knowledge. Over weekends, Avery offered to mow lawns and wash cars for neighbors. They worked under the bright sun and felt tired, but strong.
Ow.
Their muscles ached pleasantly, a sign of honest work.
Owies.
Each dollar earned brought Avery closer to the ticket cost. When a neighbor praised Avery's careful work, Avery smiled and said, I'm saving for a trip. To see a friend. The neighbor nodded and offered extra tips, impressed by Avery's determination. In the evenings, Avery prepared for the upcoming school science fair. They planned a demonstration of the interactive map app they had built with Leah. The app now included messages and memories from many people around the world. Avery practiced explaining the project clearly and simply, hoping to win the first prize. A cash award would speed up their trip savings, and recognition would inspire more support. The day of the science fair arrived. Avery set up their booth with the laptop, the physical map, and a small sign, under one sky. Friendship across distance. Judges and students walked by, pressing pins on the map and smiling at the recorded voices. Avery spoke about their work with Leah and how human creativity and perseverance had bridged miles. When the judges announced prizes, Avery's heart pounded. The announcer called, "First prize goes to Avery for outstanding community tech innovation." Avery climbed the small stage, feeling both proud and surprised. They accepted a check and applause. Back at the booth, friends cheered, and a few teachers offered to help Avery raise more funds. One teacher suggested a small community showcase event where people could donate to support Avery's trip. Avery's grand adventure jar grew heavier by the end of the week than it had in months. With ticket money almost complete, Avery wrote a careful email to Leia. "I have saved enough to buy a bus ticket to your city. I will arrive in 2 weeks. Can we meet under the oak tree where we first sat together?" Avery pressed send and felt their heart flutter. It was a big step. They could hardly believe the journey from a sad feeling of distance to this moment of hopeful anticipation. 2 weeks later, Avery boarded a bus at dawn. The road stretched ahead, fields turning to towns, and then to the outskirts of Leia's city. Avery clutched a small backpack that held the interactive map and a fresh letter. Every mile brought a rush of excitement and nerves. When the bus stopped near a familiar park, Avery's legs felt shaky. They tipped the driver, gathered their bag, and stepped into the cool morning air. Walking down the path, Avery recognized the oak tree by its wide trunk and low branches. They took a deep breath and felt the wind carry a memory of laughter and shared secrets. Then Avery heard a voice. Avery. Turning, they saw Leia hurrying toward them, face lighting up in the early light. Leia's arms opened wide and Avery ran forward. They embraced, and for a moment, the distance they had felt for so long disappeared. They sat together under the oak tree, the place where their friendship had first grown roots. The interactive map lay between them, lights glowing softly in the daylight. Avery told Leia about the tutoring, the mowing, and the science.